All right. So, yeah, that's how things will roll today. We'll break things up like that. We'll tell you about the 12-week program that we're putting together, and I'll tell you about our swim program here, and we'll get in the water and we'll put some things into practice. You guys ready for a triathlon? What do you guys, maybe before today, George, what was your concept of the triathlon swim? What did you think you were getting into?
I just didn't really think it was going to be that big of a deal, and it was.
Yeah.
That was the hard, I just flew through everything, but that pool was just,
Yeah.
I didn't know that I was such a horrible swimmer. But I probably haven't swum since 6th grade, and I'm
Sure.
in my 50s.
Right. Yeah.
But it doesn't look as hard as it is.
Yes. Gotcha. Okay. Has anybody ever seen a picture like this or watched a video or a race recap where it looks like this? So, it might look like that, or maybe it looks like this. Looks a little crazy, right? You're thinking, oh my gosh, what am I getting into? Might look like that. Hopefully not. Things can get a little rough out there. I'd prefer that swimming for a triathlon looks like this. So here's a couple athletes that we coached last year, over the last few years. Adam up there, Erica. Erica's.
I walked it today.
Did she?
Yeah.
She was out there? Awesome.
Good swim coach.
So this was at a race last spring in May, and it's a local race, the Cardinal Sprint Triathlon. It'll be at the end of May this year. And the swim is a 400-meter pool swim. So these guys were ready. Here's a few more of our folks before the start. There's Linnell. Got you in there. In the middle there is Erica. She was kind of class of 17 in our Tri Louisville 12-week program last year.
And she's 8 months pregnant now.
Yeah.
You don't want to get pregnant, maybe you don't want to do the program.
This was an event that we did. We took a bunch of folks up to Indianapolis. They do every year up there. The local Masters organization puts on a 2-mile open water swim up there. And if it falls in the right weekend or in the right time frame, I'll take folks up there, or depending on what their individual plans are for the season, we might go up there just to do a straight up open water swim, just for training or just for practice. As you can see, we have fun. This is after the swim. Everybody finished, and there's no pressure to how fast or slow you go. There's one gentleman who's not in this picture who did this swim 2 years ago. His end of the season goal was Ironman Louisville, and I was coaching him as a triathlon coach, and I more or less made him do this swim in June because it's 2 miles, and he was nearly the last guy out of the water. But if you talk to him, his name's Julio. If you talk to him, he would say that swim in itself gave him the confidence to be able to finish the swim that he needed to do at the end of the year for his big race, which is a 2.4-mile swim on the front end of an Ironman. There's another shot of the venue. Has anybody ever been up to Eagle Creek Park in Indianapolis? Yeah? Emma, yeah. A bunch, right?
Yeah.
No? They do some sprint. They do a sprint triathlon series up there too, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
They do, and then at the end they do like 3. It's a series of sprints.
Yeah.
3 of them, and then there's an all women's one.
Okay.
I think in August, the very last thing. It's just
Cool.
It's
It's a good race. The women's race or the series? All of them are. Yeah. Cool. Yeah. So on that note, circling back to like this. I don't know what your preconceptions were about a triathlon, but one of the questions or things we talk about a lot initially is the fact that a triathlon is not an Ironman per se. There are plenty of amazing races that are much, much shorter. along the sprint distance that, man, if you just want to go have fun and do one every weekend, you could. You know, just doing an Ironman doesn't make you a triathlete per se. All right. So skipping back, or maybe your swim looks like this.
Pre-flood.
Pre-flood, yeah. This was last summer, but that's a pretty cool view. Imagine checking out Louisville from that view.
Well, I thought that meant you were last.
I am last in this picture, actually. The guy in the green swim cap is me. My two buddies there outswim me in the river every time. But that's kind of a cool view. So if your goal is Ironman Louisville, maybe you'll see a view like that. It's kind of neat. Or maybe we'll do some open water swimming this season, and it looks like that. So I'll just shotgun around the room a little bit, or maybe just throw this out there. But just curious, think about this to yourself, or what's your number one question about swimming? Or what do you feel is the number one thing holding you back in your swimming? Does anybody want to give us an opinion? Yeah.
I didn't learn to swim until I was in my teens. I've never been a strong swimmer. I've done duathlons, and everybody keeps trash talking me in the pool. And I get in there, and I start trying to move my arms and legs, and I don't go anywhere.
Sure.
So,
Okay.
ever getting the stamina up, I think.
Stamina.
To actually make several lengths of the pool
Okay.
is very overwhelming.
Gotcha.
I can barely get over with.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, it's super common. Like a lot of the folks that we love working with are great runners, great cyclists. You know, it's not like you're unfit. Yeah, same.
Exactly. I'm a runner and I run marathons, and I want to go into the pool with the same confidence I have in a marathon. And right now, I'll do a 5K for swimming. I mean,
Yeah.
I won't do. Meaning the confidence I have with swimming
Yep.
is like, okay, let me start new. It's
Sure.
fresh within.
Gotcha.
I mean, I learned how to swim when I was little, but my boys were swimmers all the way up. And I'm like, God, when my parents did that.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, confidence. I think that's what.
Confidence.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just being more comfortable,
Right.
or just like trying to understand, like, okay, why can I go run, but swimming 25 yards or 50 yards of the pool is exhausting, right?
And I
Yes.
take a lot of water. I don't
You take on a lot of water.
I feel like I turned talking about people to figure this out. I was like,
Yeah.
I don't want to do that in Ohio.
Correct.
Yeah. Like June's coming up, and I want to have that.
Yeah.
For my mouth.
Yeah. I know. Yeah. Linnell, were you going to say something?
I was gonna say, just trying to figure out how to, like, shave some time off for me. It's
Mhm.
like I've been at the same, 250 per 100 meters for a while, and it's like, how can I get that
Yeah.
to get lower?
How to-
Because I feel like
how to
I
get
feel like I'm going really fast, but I'm sure it's like, oh,
Yeah.
that's special.
how to get fitter, how to get faster.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a funny thing, like, some of you guys might resonate with this, and I was joking about this on the pool deck this morning with our squad. Part of the interval required them to swim at an easy pace and then swim fast. And whenever I say that, there's always like my easy and my fast are the same, like,
I probably said that too.
right? You probably would have said that, yeah. So yeah, like, how do you get faster, right? So we're going to keep things simple. To swim more than 25 or 50 yards without feeling exhausted requires we focus on a few things, just one at a time. But my goal for us today is to at least give you an idea of a process or a way that you can reduce your anxiety if being in the water makes you a little bit nervous, right? How to do that, and likewise increase your comfort in the water. How to reduce the energy expenditure that it takes. Swimming one lap shouldn't be exhausting. Right? It should feel like you're at some point, which I'll talk about, should feel like if you can go for an easy jog, you should be able to go for a nice easy swim, right? That would be my number one goal for you. How do you breathe without swallowing a bunch of water? Or how does the breathing work? Especially when swimming freestyle, right? Where you might have this idea that, okay, I know my arms are supposed to go around and around like this, and I have to turn my head to the side, and then you go and try that, and it doesn't work, right? We're going to, in the few drills that we'll do today, we're going to talk about some of the fundamentals such as posture and alignment, so how your body kind of is sitting in the water, how it floats, or how it is sitting in the water in such a way that is most efficient. And I'll encourage you, if you're just starting to swim, let's focus on the pool first, mastering skills in the pool, i.e. figuring out how to breathe, get comfortable, relax, and then we'll focus on the open water. And I always want you guys to have fun, so we're going to try and keep it fun. I'm bringing this. This is an email I got from Brian, who's sitting right over here, and he knows that I was going to bring this up. But Brian and I had our first swim lesson together, and I think you'd been swimming a little bit before that. Nothing. Okay.
I swam when I was smaller, when I was younger, but
Yeah.
I never swam and breathed at the same time. Like that.
Gotcha. Yeah.
Like that was me.
Okay. Yeah. All right. So we started from scratch, pretty much. Yeah. So Brian said he sent this just a couple days ago. We had our first session together on January 26th. I went back and looked it up. So about a month ago, he said I was prepared after last week or two to be writing saying that I was frustrated and that I haven't made any progress or much progress so far. And then you went to the pool. I went this morning and swam, and instead I'm writing you to brag. I set out to swim 400 meters, which you hadn't even tried to do at that point. But you got to the end of that.
I just kept going.
Got to the end of that, felt so good, you just kept going, and ended up doing 1,000 meters. Pretty happy with how it went. Still a long way to go, arguably, but today was good. And he averaged 2 minutes, 1 second per 100 over that 1,000 meters. So your watch probably just calculated that, right?
Yeah.
So that was in a month's time, but it was pretty frustrating.
Sure. 'Cause,
Yeah, awesome.
leading up to that, everything you all said is all the exact same. You take on water, you're not going anywhere. After 25 meters, you're gassed, But then all of a sudden one day when you're working on keeping your arms straight and trying to breathe and focus on everything, and all of a sudden one day it all just kind of comes together. And granted, like I said, I've still got a long way to go, but stick with it and you'll get there. So.
Could you pinpoint, was there anything that just clicked, or was it just
It was just a combination of things. Like you and I have been going back and forth, and you focus on trying to keep this arm straight while you're getting a breath, but yet, by the time I'm done breathing, my arm's already back here. So, well, that stroke's gone. So, and just trying to coordinate everything, and just if you take your time with it, not trying to rush through it, that I think is the biggest thing at the beginning. And then once you start clicking, then maybe go faster. But once you just take it slow, and it'll come.
Yeah.
So,
Brian, how many lessons do you
him and I've only done one-on-one. I did the 3 package, but we haven't done the other 2 yet. He said I need to be able to do at least, or he would like to see me do 200 meters before our next session. And I hadn't gotten there until a couple days ago. So.
want to start your other 2 lessons?
Yeah, really.
Yeah. We got a couple more still, Jeff. Yeah. All right. We're doing all right. Yeah, so
Maybe get a group on for those.
a Groupon. So it's a process, right? It takes time, and I would encourage you to have an expectation of it, if you're starting from scratch, that it take somewhere around 4 to 6 weeks till maybe something clicks. We don't know exactly what it might be, but something will. Yeah, good question. So after we met, yeah, part of my prescription was, try to work up to be able to swim 200 meters continuous if you can, or in terms of practice, try to swim at least 3 times per week. And what we'll do is we'll write up some homework, or I'll write up some homework for you to do. It'll usually be based off of that lesson that we did, and it'll just, in a Word document, a written workout, or just something to give you a plan to do when you go to the pool in between our first and our next lesson. So you've got an idea what to do. Like, I'm going to show you some videos, some drills, and you're going to get in the water and practice them today. But having that ability to go back and reference them, is important too. Even in between our swim lessons, we could sit here and, talk about something we're working on with your swim stroke. But I always think it's important to have a plan going out of that.
Well, the thing with Mike too is he's always asking how you're doing. So even if you don't have a session for that week, he still wants to know how you're doing. So say I was struggling with this week, how do I get better, or how do I improve this? He responds pretty quick. I think even like 4:30 in the morning.
Yeah, sometimes, yeah. I have 3 children. They're all young. So I'm up, sometimes awake at all hours of the day. Yeah. But this is what I do. So if we do a lesson together and, I want to help you reach your goal. So I like doing that, just messaging back and forth, figuring out how you guys are doing. So it's a process. So just know that, and what I've witnessed over the last few years of working exclusively with triathletes, adult triathletes, or jokingly we'll sometimes we'll say adult onset swimmers, is if there's something's going to click around that 4 to 6 week time frame if you stay consistent, swimming at least 3 times a week, and that also means, you don't need to be showing up grinding it out for an hour and a half, each time you go swim. Swim initially, this is like learning a new skill, learning a new skill set or a technique or something like that, and the frequency the repetition is more important than actually training in a way. So a lot of you, we know you're fit, right? You're already endurance athletes, so we know we've got an endurance engine there, but we just need to acquire a new skill set, and that just takes practice. It's like playing golf or learning how to play the piano. Those first couple of months are kind of like that. That's the more important thing in my mind, is that you practice frequently. Thanks for sharing that, Brian. Thanks for letting me pick on you too. Okay, does anybody have an idea in your mind? This might be kind of a weird way to think about this, but do you have an idea in your mind of what the ideal swimmer looks like, or how you should? Yeah.
Like you're going through a tube.
Like you're going through a tube. Okay.
On top of the water through a tube.
On top of the water. Okay.
Maybe on top of the water, swim like you're going through a tube.
Yeah. Okay. So very streamlined or aerodynamic.
And almost like it makes you go to sleep to watch.
Okay.
It's real calm, nothing fighting, and it's
Yeah.
they're one with water, and it's real enjoyable. And you can just
Sure.
feeling like falling asleep watching
Yeah.
the correct.
That's a good visualization. It should feel it when you watch a very skilled swimmer. It almost looks effortless like that, right? Now I will note, depending on who you're watching, he makes it look easy, but we know he was working pretty hard, right? He's got a few gold medals to his name. But sometimes if we're doing research on our own, I just hear this a lot, is it's easy to do. You can hop on the internet, go to Google, and you can find videos of all kinds of swimmers, right? The more prolific stuff out there is you're more often going to see a swimmer like Michael Phelps. Has anybody ever done that? Just hopped online and tried to Google search swim technique, and maybe you come across videos or clips or techniques like that. So I want to differentiate between the type of swimming that a competitive swimmer like this does versus what we do. Does anybody know who these 2 guys are?
Brownlee twins.
The Brownlee brothers. Yeah. Alistair and Jonathan Brownlee, so they're from Great Britain. And the Rio Olympics, these two brothers finished with a gold and silver medal in the triathlon at the Olympics. And then at the London Olympics, it was a gold and a bronze. Here's what these guys say about swimming for a triathlon, or Alistair, what he says. Swimming for triathlon is very different from swimming in a pool. You don't want the perfect stroke because you're not swimming alone in a pristine lane. You're being bashed around, beaten up, thumped by waves. A lot of triathlon coaching tells you that the fewer strokes you take, the better. Not for us. I swim the best when I'm fit. It's simple as that. I don't swim off a powerful stroke or a long stroke, but on arm turnover. The number of strokes I can take per minute. I also think that swimming properly for triathlon is something that not many people in the world genuinely understand. So I just want to make clear that you can do the Google search and look and see. Just be judicious about what you're researching or what you're looking for, because we've got a lot more variables at play. You know, we've got the open water to deal with, which he talks about there. There's waves and choppy conditions. When we watch somebody like Michael Phelps, you know, when we're watching the Olympics and you see them swimming in the warm down pool or the cool down pool, it's mesmerizing, right? They make it look so smooth and so easy. You know, you can even come here and watch the Lakeside Swim Team. It's a big swim club here that practices every 5 or 6 days a week, and you watch some of those swimmers and they look the same as somebody like Phelps. Swimming in the open water is just a little bit different, and we have to adopt a skill set specifically for that. Here's the adult onset swimmer. We come in all shapes and sizes. These photos were taken in a city called Perth, Australia. I work with a company called Swim Smooth, and they developed a system, and a lot of their system and teaching methods is what I use in our program here. But mainly with the understanding that our goal, or my goal as a swim coach, is to coach you, the individual, and not the stroke per se. And what I mean by that is we don't all look like Michael Phelps. You know, we're not all like 6'7" with a size 18 shoes and a super long wingspan. You know, there's even some ladies, you know, that would put some of us guys to shame, you know, in terms of strength and stuff like that. This is us right here. So we've got to find the stroke that works for you. Oh, there we go. There's my point right there. So we have the lady in the foreground. Look at the difference between these two. You know, guy in the back with the super wingspan of an albatross there, right? And the lady in front. So these two swimmers are going to swim, in my opinion, very differently. They might even potentially swim the same speed. If they're both very fast swimmers, they might swim the same speed, but we're going to adopt a process of teaching them how to swim if they're starting from scratch that's a little bit different at first. So Swim Smooth is the name of the company that I've trained a lot with over the last several years, and took a trip down there to do an intensive 2-week training program with them. They developed a system called Swim Types, and you can go and check that out. That's the website there, and that's their main site, swimsmooth.com. So Swim Types is this. They said, well, after years and years of coaching adult onset swimmers and actually doing one-to-one sessions like you and I have done, Brian and Jeff, and even going so far as doing video analysis sessions with all these different types of swimmers, you start to see commonalities. You start to see things that are the same. You know, so Brian, one week I'm working on something with you, and a certain drill worked, and then George, like the next week I'm working with you, and it took something different, you know, to help you, but then Jack comes in, and the same thing that helped Brian was helping Jack, right? So what they did was they systematized things, and they, to give you a starting point on to figure out how to start this process of either learning to swim or correcting your swim stroke, they broke it down into 6 different swim types, is what they call it. Kind of like personality types. It's a lot like personality types. And then ironically, there is a little bit of a psychological aspect to this too. You'll find that an Arnie, for example, generally carries certain traits, even psychologically. Same goes for the Bambino, the Kicktastic, the Overglider. They give them these funny names like the Swinger and then the Smooth over there. So after today, some suggestions. If I never see you again, if you're going to develop a process or a plan to improve your swimming, I'd suggest starting with some private lessons, one-on-one with a coach, somebody that can do some of the stuff that we've talked about, right, Brian? Or a video analysis session if you're maybe already a developed athlete, or you're a seasoned swimmer, so to speak. Incorporate some squad or some group training if possible, or join a master's swim team. And then since we're triathletes, that by default makes you an open water swimmer. And so it's very important that you get in some open water swimming, some practice. So don't make your first open water swim on race day. One of my top rules. And then part of the process in developing and improving your swimming is something called the 3 keys, which I'll talk about a little bit later, just to give you, I'll give you kind of a visualization of that. Here in our program, this is us. We offer all those things: private lessons, video analysis, squad, and open water practice. If you want to check that stuff out, this is a screenshot of our website right there. And you could even go as far as just hopping online if you want to take a look at it. That should take you right there. Watch this little video that I did. My friendly smile right there. I'm going to just talk about that right now, which is basically just how to get started. Where do you start? Where am I with my swimming? What should I do next? And so forth. Oops. Let's get back there. Hello. Sorry. Play. There we go. So hop onto our website there. This is our open water swim venue. So starting in May through September, we do a weekly open water session. And this is a quarry in Prospect, not too far from here. It's a beautiful venue that we've had the privilege of being able to swim at. Here's our open water squad. At the beginning of the season, we'll pretty much be swimming in wetsuits. The water's about 60 degrees. I think we try to let it get into the 60s before we hop in. So usually beginning of May, I'm going out there and just checking, or we're checking the water temperatures just to make sure it's at least in the 60s. So with wetsuit on, you'll be just fine. This goofy picture here, I wish I could point out. There's a lady with her goggles on her nose. Most professional. Gabrielle. She's a doctor. We had a little fun, and this is just another view from on top of the quarry, looking down to our swimmers in the water. Our kayaker, Shep Sanford, is our vigilant watchman. That runs from May through September. We'll do 2 sessions, 8 classes each. If you're a Barry's Coaching individually coached athlete, there's a discount for both for a single session. If we've done some swim lessons, or you swim with our squad anytime in the last 4 months, we offer a discount for that too. And then if you want to sign up for all 16 classes, there's discounts there too. Again, just go back to the website. Question?
What time do those start?
Good question. We meet at 5 p.m. on Wednesday, and we're in the water from 5:30 to 6:30 p.m. Yeah, it's tough. Yeah, coming from downtown is possible, but you got to get out of there pretty quick. Yeah. So how to get started. So if you're starting from scratch, I'd recommend over there on the left-hand side, let's start with some swim lessons, one-on-one. That would be you and me, or one of our assistant coaches, and we're going to start from scratch. We're going to work on the fundamentals, getting comfortable in the water, the basics, the fundamentals. and then we'll develop a plan out of that. You know, what do you do in between our lessons? My number one goal is for you to, at the end of those 3 lessons, is to be able to comfortably swim 200 meters nonstop. Also, in that last session, I'll introduce you to something, a website called the Swim Smooth Guru. So if you're looking for a tool to utilize more on your own, a website, I'll show you that in a minute. Or let's say maybe you're a more veteran swimmer, you might start off with a video analysis session, an hour, 15 minutes to about a 90-minute session, where we take a little bit more of a detailed look at your swim stroke, what's holding you back, and so forth. But then also come up with a plan. You know, what are the 1 to 3 things holding you back the most within your technique? Out of either of those, my goal is, if possible, join our squad or a squad or a master's team. I think that's really important, is having like some group training. You know, you'll push yourself a little bit harder. We offer sessions right now 4 times a week. This is right in the middle of your screen. And each session's a little bit different. We've got everything from technique to endurance development to threshold development, some fancy stuff. But we want to get you into a squad or some type of group training program. And then, of course, you want to work in some open water swimming. This is the 3 keys, the 3 key areas of your swimming that you might always be looking to find room for improvement. So if you're going to do a video analysis session, I've got my high-def camera right here. You know, we might look at your technique. We might look at your training. You know, how fit or maybe unfit are you? And then what are your open water skills like? Let's just say your goal is to improve the time in your Olympic distance swim by 4 minutes. We might find a couple of minutes or a few seconds or something from any of these pieces right here, the 3 key areas. This is the website I was telling you about. If I were never to see you again, you could, if you like this kind of thing, self-coaching yourself, you could use a website developed by Swim Smooth that they call the Guru. Essentially consists of an archive of over 500 different workouts, multiple different training plans, everything from learning to swim your first mile, you know, progressive 20-session first learn to swim your first mile plan, to sprint and Olympic or half iron distance. There's the sprint or the Olympic and 70.3 beginner plan in there is a 12-week program that has 3 swim workouts a week. So if maybe you're following a training plan that you purchased on a place like Training Peaks or online someplace, insert these swim workouts into the plan. Everything that I will teach you, or if you ever come to our squad sessions, it's going to be very congruent with the Swim Smooth stuff. So even if you're at a distance, for example, Jack's from Nashville or Nashville area, right? We might refer to sessions in here or refer to videos or training concepts and that kind of thing in this site. This is just a screenshot of the plan, the Olympic distance plan. It's really small, but you can see weeks 1 through 11 there, consisting of 3 different types of workouts per week. So one day a week, I suggest doing a technique workout. Another day a week, you're going to do more of an endurance, a longer swim workout. And then they Swim Smooth, they've got funny names for all kinds of stuff, but they have a fresh and fruity workout there, which just means it's a pretty hard workout. It's going to be tough. It'll challenge you, but it'll be fun. They also have a whole sort of online training module, including workouts, around open water swimming. If you're looking for gear, you can see some of our swim gear right here, and I think I've already sent you guys like a link to some of the stuff that we use the most in our squads, and the stuff that the tools that I'll use that you'll use in training. So we've got a website there that you can go to where I've hand-picked all those items, so you don't have to go shop around and look for them. Obviously, shop locally if you can. There's a couple local stores that carry this stuff. But if you want just one place to go to and just buy the whole kit all at once, you can go right here to the Swim Outlet shop. And then here's our Tri Louisville, the 12-week guided program. You are sitting in the very first there, the 2-hour swim workshop. But we're also going to do a bike and nutrition workshop sometime at the end of March, a run and transitions workshop, beginning of May, and then as we get closer to the event, which is on June 10th, the week before that, we'll do a walkthrough. So we'll take you guys down to the waterfront. We'll walk through the race venue. You know, here's where transition will be. Here's where, you know, you'll set everything up. Here's where you'll come out of the water and you go into the transition area, then out, and all that kind of stuff. So we'll do a full walkthrough. All of that is included if you want to do it with us. All you have to do is wear one of our race kits right here. So you get all of that for the price of one of our race kits that you see right here. So they're Wadi Inc. If anybody knows about a race kit designer that's out there, they developed our race kits this year, and we're pretty excited that they're doing that. But kit costs, depending on if you get a top and the bottom or just like the single piece kit, the costs kind of range. So we'll send out some follow-up info about that. And I think we have, you can see the actual swatches in the back, right? Okay, you guys ready to go? We're almost ready. I'm going to show you a few drills. I'm going to show you what we're about to go do in the water, and then we'll go get in. So this is where the rubber meets the road. Again, my whole goal today is to, if we accomplish anything, it's just to reduce any anxiety that you might have with the water, get a little more comfortable, and then hopefully we have you swimming more than one lap and it not be exhausting by the end of today, if that's sort of the scenario you're in. So we're going to focus exclusively on your breathing technique, and then some things called posture and alignment. When you talked about moving through the water kind of like a torpedo, or almost effortlessly and streamlined, that's where we're going with this idea of posture and alignment. When we first get in the water, we're going to do a drill called the sink down drill. This has to do with breathing and general relaxation. So it's going to go like this as you're watching these swimmers. All I really want you to do is blow bubbles. That's the first thing we're going to do, blow bubbles. Again, has anybody ever, we maybe thought, okay, I know I've got to get in the water, I've got to move my arms like this, and I got to breathe, and it's like information overload. All of a sudden you realize I've got too much stuff I have to think about. So all we're going to do is one thing at a time today, starting with blowing bubbles. Yes, Linnell?
Is it better to blow the bubbles through your mouth or through your nose?
That's what we're going to figure out too. So
I never seem to be able to sing when we do this drill.
you never seem to be able to sink? Yeah. And that's okay. You may or may not. Like, let me go back here. So there's a gentleman on the far left in a yellow swim cap. You can see he doesn't sink quite as well as the other folks. Now, some of that's because he's not blowing enough bubbles out. But we're all, body composition, all that kind of stuff is going to be different. So whether you sink or not, the main thing I want you being able to accomplish is being more relaxed and being able to blow some bubbles. It might be harder than you think at first.
And you've got a lot more air in your lungs than you think.
You do, yeah. So just like, we can kind of see how many bubbles these guys blow out. It might be that when you first get in the water, we've watched this now, right? You know what to do. You know what to do. And we go try it, and you go underwater, and nothing's happening. And you're holding your breath. You're holding your breath, yeah. So this is designed to get you past the point where you're holding your breath. Okay? Part of the reason that you may not be able to swim comfortably one or more laps is that while you're swimming, you're holding your breath. Okay? Right, Jeff?
My name's Jeff, that's how
So then,
Not that fast.
not that fast. So we're going to spend enough time to get comfortable exhaling is what I want the goal to be, is to get comfortable blowing bubbles out. And then I'm going to have you guys all swim as far. If you make it a whole length, great. If you just make it a few strokes, that's fine too. But I want you to again, just picture in your mind what swimming freestyle looks like, and I'm going to give you a mantra to say to yourself, and it's bubble, bubble, breathe. So by default, you're going to be breathing to one side, and then a couple strokes later, you're going to be breathing to the other side. So breathing every third stroke. So it'd be stroke, stroke, then breathe this way, stroke, stroke, breathe the other way. But while you're doing it, on our very first try, I want you to actually verbalize the word bubble while you're swimming. Bubble, bubble, breathe. Bubble, bubble, breathe. It's going to sound absolutely absurd to yourself. Unless you say breathe, breathe, and we hear you.
Because you're going, breathe.
Yes.
Your breath.
So you don't have to say the word breathe, okay?
Can't guarantee that one.
Right. But by verbalizing the word bubble, right, you're blowing bubbles. You're exhaling. That's my goal. As we do another length or two, another lap or two, you don't necessarily have to continue saying it or verbalizing it, but I want it to be a reminder to you that as you're swimming, bubble, bubble, breathe. Oh yeah, breathe out, exhale, right? Because if you can't exhale enough air, there's no air to breathe in. If you hold your breath, we often wind up holding all that air in there. And we can never get a good, deep breath of air while you're swimming. So bubble, bubble, breathe will be the next thing we do. Then we're going to slap on your flippers, your fins. We're going to do a drill here called the kick on the side drill. This is where we get your body moving through the water very, very streamlined and aerodynamic, like a torpedo. But you're just going to be using your legs for this, with one arm extended out in front of you, face in the water, and here we can incorporate a little bit of breathing as well, just being cognizant of blowing some bubbles. You'll see the swimmer doing that here. But look how nice and straight his body is, okay? That's what we're after. It's this idea of being streamlined. If you're bent at the waist or the legs, kick a whole bunch, we're creating a lot of drag, as we call it in swimming terminology. So you could be moving, the goal, visualize swimming through a tube in this. That's a good visualization. Do we need to see that again? No? Good. So kicking on the side. Jacob's going to demonstrate. And the next would be this drill right here, the 6-1-6 drill. Essentially, it starts off like kicking on the side. Take a single stroke and swap yourself over to the other side. We're just incorporating the arms now a little bit. Okay, good. So 6-1-6. We kind of just had to give the drill a name. 6 refers to 6 seconds of kicking or 6 leg kicks with your feet, and then 1 stroke, and then 6 seconds or 6 leg kicks again. What I don't want you guys to do is to try and count. Just kick on one side, okay? We will have mastered that already. Kick on one side, and then whenever you feel like ready to do it, just take a stroke. Don't try to count and think about your breathing and think about, oh my God, my legs are sinking or anything else. Okay, remember, one thing at a time. So that's the 6-1-6, and then we'll finish with the 6-3-6, which just simply incorporates a few more arm strokes. So it's 6 seconds or 6 leg kicks, then 3 strokes, then 6 leg kicks or 6 seconds of kicking on the other side. So notice you alternate one side then the other. So one of the basic fundamental skills for open water swimming is your ability to, now you might not always do it, but breathe to both sides. So when you're racing, you might only breathe to a single side. But what happens if you got some other athlete splashing water on you, or waves coming from your favorite side to breathe to? It would be handy to have the skill set to be able to breathe the other side relatively comfortably. So we're going to practice that right from the get-go, doing these very basic drills. There's our race kit again. And that's a wrap. So let's get in the water.